Hello, Fox here, and welcome to the new Call of War economy guide. We have as resources food, metal, and oil. We of course also have war bonds and money. I started with 80k money, 15k food, 12k manpower, 15k steel, 15k oil, and I have also 10k war bonds. Before I start, first let me set up my economy. I am Comitern, so I definitely want rocket artillery, and I'm gonna use war bonds to speed up the research. Done. There we go. And then I also want armored cars. Start. It only takes 5 minutes. Then I need to think strategically where I'm gonna produce my rocket artillery. I think I'm gonna produce one over here. Construction lab. Here I can build a tank plant. Build. And I guess also over here I can make a lab. A build. As you can see, I'm going down fast in metal. No panic. It's normal at the start of the game. I have 2 oil cities, Bucharest and Budapest. I have got 2 steel cities, Constanta and Iasi, and I have 1 food in Debrecen. You're always gonna have only 1 city of 1 resources and 2 cities of 2 of the same resources. Then for the rural provinces there are multiple possibilities. Either you have 2 rural provinces of each resource, but in my case I have got only 1 oil, 1 steel, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 food, which makes my economy actually pretty balanced. Now I'm gonna need steel. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna build an industry, because rural industry only costs food and oil, of which I'm gonna consume less. So I'm gonna build, I'm gonna invest in my economy, I'm gonna increase my steel production, and I'm gonna do the same also in my steel city. Here in this case, industry and cities cost steel and oil. So I'm gonna build my industry. So I've got that all set up. And then in Constanta, I am building nothing. So I guess that I can build a recruitment office, because I also need to think about increasing manpower. And you see immediately that I haven't done much yet, okay? I have built 3 military production buildings. I have built 1 recruitment station, 2 industry, and I'm almost out of metal. So this new update, it's really been designed to incite players to use gold. It's as simple as that. Call of War, they can say that it's made to make the game more simple, but actually, as the economy of each country now that you're gonna play is very different, it's gonna be very difficult, because you need to adapt your strategy to your available resources. For example, I have 2 oil cities, 2 metal cities, which means that for unit production, you can see everything that is in the infantry branch costs food. Non-motorized units costs food and metal. All units that are motorized in the infantry branch cost food and oil. In the ordnance, it's the same thing. Non-motorized, like the anti-tank, the artillery, and the anti-air, costs food and steel. The motorized versions cost oil and steel. In the tank plant, exclusively oil and steel. Air costs food and oil. And in the secret tab, same like the ordnance units, also rocket artillery costs food and steel. So in the early game, you're gonna consume quite some food and steel. And for the other secret units, like SP rocket artillery, railroad guns, flying bombs, and rockets, they all cost steel and oil. Rocket fighter, food and oil, and nuclear costs the 3 resources. So you can immediately see you need to choose your strategy depending on the resources that you have a lot. Right? For example, me, I have 2 steel and I have 2 oil cities, and I am Comitern Doctrine. I have quite some food production for the early game, but I am low on steel. So I wanted to produce a rocket artillery, but you can see I'm gonna get in trouble with steel very fast, as rocket artillery is pretty expensive on the steel side. And I wanted to combine that with armored cars, but as you can see also armored cars, they cost steel. Hence why I've built already industry, right, in my steel city and in my steel rural, so that I can quickly enhance my economy. And you can see that in Sofia there is steel, and also in Plovdiv. So one of the first things I'm gonna have to do is attacking Bulgaria, right? Over here in the area there's forest where my infantry is gonna get a bonus, and right here I am on the plains. So my armored cars, I can send them to the plains, because my armored cars are gonna get a bonus on the plains, right? Of course I'm gonna need a bit of infantry to stack them together. I'm I'm gonna select all the units in the west to go to the northwest of Bulgaria, and then all the units over here, I'm gonna move them to the northeast of Bulgaria. I'm always gonna keep at least one unit in each city, because if I get attacked by Poland, Ukraine, or by Yugoslavia, I definitely don't want them to be able to just grab my cities just like that, especially when I'm asleep. So I'm always gonna keep at least one garrison unit in my cities, and I'm also gonna put my plane on patrol. There we go. And actually, before I even start moving units, what I should have done is checking if my neighbor is active. You can see that Yugoslavia has built buildings everywhere. You see the question marks. So Yugoslavia is active. You can see that Poland, however, has no buildings in his cities except his capital. So most likely he's inactive, right? So I don't need to worry about this border. Odessa is empty. Krimchuk as well, Kharkov and Mariupol as well, and no buildings in Kiev. So Ukraine is completely inactive. Poland only did the tutorial, hence why he has built 2 buildings in his capital, but is probably not active either. So I'm only gonna have to worry about Yugoslavia. So good strategy for me would actually be to attack Yugoslavia first, so that I can annihilate any threat on my border. And as we have the Donau River over here, I can only get attacked in 3 provinces, so I should concentrate my forces over here, in which case you can see already that my secret lab over here in Bucharest for the time being is not gonna serve a big purpose. But I could try to attack both Bulgaria and Yugoslavia simultaneously. Another option is that I wait to attack Yugoslavia until I've taken Bulgaria, in which case I'm gonna be able to open a 2-front war both here in the west and here in the north, which is what I'm probably gonna do, but I should keep at least these border provinces garrisoned. That would be a wise move. Also, anti-tank or stealth in the forest and get a bonus, so I want to utilize that. So this one we're gonna keep it over here as well. Budapest is safe, nobody's gonna attack me there, so I can send this unit to the front. Debrecen, same thing with Poland inactive, I can send the unit away. And as Ukraine is inactive, I'm also going to send my unit to Iasi. Alright, done. So far I am set up. My armored car research has been terminated, so I can already start producing now armored cars. Tanks produce, I'm gonna put 1 in the queue as I have a high command, and then I'm also gonna set a rally point from Debrecen to Constanta, because all this over here are planes, so I can very easily take these planes over here with a couple of armored cars and use my infantry and rocket artillery to attack over here in the northeast of Bulgaria. Done. As I have a limited amount of resources, I'm not going to research anything else. The only thing I could research are infantry, but I'm low on metal and I'm gonna need my metal, so I'm not gonna do that. Ordnance tab I'm not gonna use so far. I should produce also anti-air, but I'm not gonna produce anti-air now. I'm gonna wait, because chances are very slim that somebody is going to produce tactical bombers to attack my artillery. Only allies can make tactical bombers at day 1, but as you can see, I have no allies and neighbors. We've got UK and France who are allies, but they're far away. Poland, Yugoslavia are Comintern players. Ukraine is an Axis player. Turkey is a Comintern player. Germany is also an Axis player, so I have no neighbors that could be a threat with tactical bombers. It's also for this that's very important to know each doctrine. You need to know the strength of each doctrine and the weakness, and you need to know what kind of unit types get a bonus, because the unit types that get a bonus for a certain doctrine are going to be produced. So you can already predict a bit what kind of strategy your enemy is going to use, and you can anticipate. You always need to anticipate what could happen instead of being reactive, because if you only react to what happens, you are already one step behind. So I've got everything set up so far. The only thing that I could do now is to speed up the remaining research, but I only have 2.8 war bonds. However, I have a lot of boosters. You can get boosters by watching the videos and by completing operations. So I'm going to do this. Done. Use a couple of booster cards. So So my research is now done, which means I can also start now the first rocket artillery production. I miss the secret lab that's not finished yet. So I shouldn't have boosted everything as I still need 13 minutes, but that's fine. I can speed up at 15 minutes. There we go. So I've got that set up. Takes 4 hours to produce. My armored car takes 3 hours to produce, and I've got everything queued up, meaning that for the next 6 or 8 hours, I am good. I also have my infantry that needs 6 hours 35 to march. So I'm gonna come back in approximately 6 hours to see how I am doing.
9 hours later.
Alright, I am back for the attack. 9 hours have passed, so my first rocket artillery has already arrived. It's stacked up with my infantry. I am ready to attack Bulgaria. And the reason why I want to attack Bulgaria is very simple. Each province I take, I'm gonna get half of the resources. So for example, over here in Pleven, the daily production is 1,157 food, meaning that I'm gonna get roughly 557 food when I take this province, and this counts for everything. But it's not only that. When you take the capital, you're not only gonna get half of the resources, so 2,314 steel, but my morale is gonna increase in all my provinces with 10%, because you start the game with 70% morale in all your provinces, meaning that my provinces only produce at 70% of my resource capacity. And so it is important to attack early on small NPC countries like Bulgaria and inactive players to be able to get your province morale as fast as possible at 100%, so that you are at a maximum resource production. That's the reason why I'm so keen to attack Bulgaria, which is what I'm going to do now. Okay, I want to attack. Let's go. Set the march. Yes, sir. Set march and set march. Over here, I'm gonna set offensive fire settings. It's gonna start bombarding an enemy armies in range, even if the executions of other units has to be deferred. In other words, they're gonna stop marching. Very important. And when I set the march to the capital, you're gonna see the AI always behave in the same way. You attack the AI from a range, they're gonna split off counter attack, which is great for me because 2 reasons. My infantry, they're stronger in defense, so I'm gonna deal more damage than if I have to attack them, because they're defensive, they're gonna take a lot of damage. Secondly, they're gonna attack me over here in the forest, where my infantry, they get an additional terrain bonus of 20%, and lastly, units, they get a protection bonus of 15% in their core provinces. They're gonna take 15% HP less damage, and they're gonna deal 15% more hit points to me. So by using artillery, I'm gonna avoid all this, so that's great. A little trick to avoid too much damage is to provoke a counterattack from the AI with artillery. Now 1 unit is gone from the province center, so I only have the armored car to deal with. My units are gonna arrive in 5 minutes 10 seconds, and then that will be it. I'm gonna take minimal damage. Early game expansion is important. You need to capture as many resources as you can so that you can develop better. At target, and actually I am thinking, because from here I can go through the hills with my artillery, and these are plains, so I'm actually going to send this stack like this to Vraka. Perfect, done. That's set. This armored cars, we're gonna put it on the plains where I get a 50% bonus with my armored cars, 50% bonus, so that's great. Also 25% extra speed. Anyway, done. That's all set. I'm also going to declare war, because I don't want to be notorious with the AI, because if you're not popular with the AI and surprise attack, you risk later in the game that AI nations are going to declare war on you and attack at the most inconvenient moments. And then finally you also have Interno, a supply drop. Either you get blueprints or you get resources. I already have all the blueprints for the highest level units, so I'm gonna get resources guaranteed, and it can be a lot. However, at this moment it is inopportune to attack Poland, important because first of all, I really need to attack Yugoslavia to protect my flank, and that's more important, even though the supply drop resources really have helped. Another reason why I want to take is any player that is not active enough is gonna go AI on day 4. But for any player nation, if you take the capital, you're gonna get a half of the money they have in stock. And as you saw, I started the game with 80,000 money. That means when I take Belgrade, I'm gonna get at least $40,000, which is a very interesting. So I want to grab as many player capitals as possible. So preferably I want to take Belgrade and Warsaw, maybe even Kiev, before day 3 is over. I want to have that done before they change with day 4, because then I'm no longer going to be able to do this. The only way to get extra money and capitals then will be to attack active players, which is of course of a much higher risk. When I go to the province administration, you can see that my industry has been built and that it has enhanced my resource production with 13%. Also, my money production has been increased. My manpower production has increased with 35%. One side note, both for industry and for recruitment offices, the increases only work in that city or that province, so the other provinces are not affected. Also for my rural industry, local industry level 1 increases your economy with 35%. So 35% more resource production and money production. That's very interesting. And as you can see, it's already upgrading to level 2, where it's gonna double my resource production. And in level 3, it's gonna triple. That is very interesting, which is why I'm gonna upgrade it to level 3. And it doesn't cost me any steel, so that's perfect. I would also like to build more recruitment stations in my cities, but obviously at this time I cannot afford the steel to do so. And what I should do is produce in the secret tab also over here rocket artillery, and we can send them to this province over here. Done. And over here an armored car is going to roll out of production in only 9 seconds. Done. Perfect. Then we can set the rally point now over here, and I'm gonna also produce. Why doesn't the armored car produce automatically? It should go automatically. I've got all the resources that I need to do so. Produce. Done. Also here in Bucharest, yeah, we got 4 rocket artillery queued up. That's perfect. I'm gonna select all my units. I only have to click my left and right mouse button to use the lasso tool to give me a blue field around all my units. Got 18 starting infantry, 1 anti-air, 3 anti-tank. I've produced 2 rocket artillery, got 1 interceptor. I've started the game with 1 armored car, so I've produced 3 already. So 3 armored cars and 2 rocket artillery I already have produced. So I'm doing great considering that we're not even halfway through day 1. It is bedtime for me now. Tomorrow morning when I wake up, all of Bulgaria will have fallen and I'm gonna be ready to attack Yugoslavia. Good night.
The next day.
Right, we are 10 hours and a half into day 2. As you can see, I've taken most of Yugoslavia by now. 3 minutes 48, but if I force march, I'm gonna engage in battle immediately. Ah, are you kidding me? Come on, man. 0.3 HP left. Come on. Seriously? That ain't cool. I wanted to take the capital over here as the last province. Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to hold that because I want to prevent rebellions over here. Actually, I don't really have to, because even though if I have revolts, it's fine, because when I take back the province, I'm gonna get resources again. It's a very efficient way to farm AI. However, I don't want to risk it with a player, even though he seems to be very inactive. He had 2 medium tanks on day 1, put a stack of 22 units over here on the border of Yugoslavia. Already 5 of those are now dead. On day 2, in the newspaper, the largest economies are being published. Even though it's day 2, this gives you a very good idea about the best starting positions. By expanding and taking another player's country down, I have been able to get a lot of resources. So I filtered on warfare only, and you can see all the resources that I've taken over here. 855 food, 789 food, 789. Took provinces with only money as well. But then here, 3,554 oil. Bam. Thank you. 3,587 food. Thank you. Another 3,554 oil. Thank you. I can't see the older messages, but I've also taken quite a lot of steel, as I've taken Sarajevo and over here Skopje, that is a steel province as well. And with that steel, I've been able to feed the war machine. I've got quite an impressive army now. I still have my 18 starting infantry barely damaged, 1 anti-air started with it, 6 armored cars, so I produced 5. I've got 10 rocket artillery now, still my 3 anti-tank, 1 interceptor, 2 naval bombers. So I've produced 5 armored cars, 10 rocket artillery, 2 naval bombers in short. Not only that, but I've got my industry in my rural steel province now upgrading to level 3. I'm upgrading my industry in Iasi in my double steel also to level 2, and I'm upgrading my tank plant to level 2 as well. As in research in the tank branch, I have researched a light tank, and right now I have got tank destroyer research in process. It's gonna finish in 9 hours 35, but as you can see, I've got quite a lot of war bonds, so I'm gonna speed up this research. Speed up, done, thank you. And then I should already start researching infantry now that I have the resources to do so. Done. I can also speed up the level 2 tank plant, speed up with war bonds, thank you very much. And then I'm gonna set the rally point over here because Italy has 9 light tanks. I don't like it for one bit that there are on my border 9 light tanks, man. I'm gonna scout if those are still here. I certainly hope they are not. I see that my naval bombers are done refueling. I'm gonna put them over here in Zenica, because from Zenica I'm gonna be able to dominate all of the Adriatic Sea with my naval bombers, because I'm gonna have to deal with Italy rather sooner than later. And I'm picking an airstrip that is far enough inland that it cannot be bombarded by battleships, because if I would build, for example, an airstrip over here which is in range as well in Podgorica, well, this would be in range of battleships, and if the airstrip is taken out, I would risk losing my planes. I see that my units have almost arrived in Belgrade, so I guess I can already capture this. Done. Nice. These units, I can move them to Budapest, I guess. I really hope that Italy is not going to attack me, but it's better to be prepared. Now I should also produce tank destroyers. Take 5 hours to produce. I like a little bit of oil, 311 to be exact. And I have a quick look in the stock market how much oil costs. Expensive, man. But I took a lot of money from my dear friend Yugoslavia. As you can see, I've got now 101k money. Front reports, 2,701 steel and $48,000. That's really great. However, you should avoid buying something on the stock market before day 4. At day 4, a lot of players are gonna go AI, and then the stock market will be flooded with offers from the AI and prices will be cheaper. However, now it's pretty expensive, but I really want to produce my first tank destroyer, which I can now produce. 1, 2, 3, 4 in the queue. I'm gonna take 25 hours to have 5 of those, but 5 will give me the security that I need against light tanks. Also, these are almost done. I was pretty intimidated when I saw this big stack. Luckily now I have a sufficient counter stack with 2 anti-tank, 1 armored car, 14 infantry and 6 rocket artillery already. If you would have counterattacked, I would have shoot and scooted all my way to Bucharest while building in Bucharest level 3 fortifications. Level 1 fortification gives a protection of 15%, level 2 gives you 30% protection, and level 3 45%, level 4 60%, and level 5 75%. And then on top of it, as you are in your core provinces, you get an additional 15% core bonus protection as well. Luckily, I was able to avoid the situation, because shooting and scooting, I would have had to come online every half an hour, which is not very efficient, especially if you are at work. The morale in my core provinces is now almost at 100%, 94, 95, 95 in my capital, 96. Morale is always the highest in your capital. Also, at day change, your morale increases, so when day 3 starts, I'm gonna be at 100% morale. And at this point, this game is kind of the same like any other Call of War game in the past. You need to keep an eye on your resources. You can see that my production for metal and oil is really good. This means that I should focus on units that require steel and oil. So that wouldn't be infantry, not ordnance. That would be the tank branch. And which is cool is that the Commentarian Doctrine, they get bonuses for medium tanks, heavy tanks and tank destroyers. Commentarian have a very good tank branch, which only costs steel and oil, which is perfect. Air tab, well, you're gonna need air. You need air protection. I'm gonna have to build interceptors at some point, or rocket fighters. But also very interesting, we got SP rocket artillery, which only costs steel and oil. So basically, I'm gonna go for SP rocket artillery, medium tanks, tank destroyer, armored cars. I'm also gonna go for SP anti-air, which is a bummer because they cost the same kind of resources as the air units, because I'm gonna need interceptors and I want to have a couple more naval bombers. But yeah, adapt your strategy to the resources that are to your availability. Continue expanding so that you can conquer resources and then invest those resources in your economy and build industry in the provinces where you lack resources. So now that I have my metal production in check, I'm gonna have to start focusing also on food and on oil. And I only have one recruitment station level 1. That is not good. I need more of them. However, at this point, I don't really have the resources to build a lot of them because they cost 1100 steel, and I need steel for my tank destroyers, right? But tank destroyers take 5 hours. I produce 728 steel an hour. So roughly I could produce every 5 hours one tank destroyer and build one recruitment office, which is what I should do. So I can build this one over here, done. Over here I want one, build, thank you. And then over here I'm gonna queue one up, queue, thank you. And then in ESC I am gonna queue one up as well, done. I'm gonna have 5 level 1s. And I also want to research infantry level 2. Lack a little bit of steel. I'm gonna wait a little bit until I have 35. But yeah, from now on it's pretty straightforward. I'm gonna continue expanding, choosing the units that correspond with my economy, invest in industry recruitment offices, but only in my core provinces, because I haven't told you yet, but if you didn't know, in non-core provinces you only produce at 25%. So that's not really interesting to build recruitment offices or industry there. There's one more economical building that I haven't discussed yet, which is the propaganda office. Basically, they're gonna enhance your morale development, level 1 plus 10%. So the morale development, that would be the province morale, right? Which is the direct indicator on how much percent your economy is producing. Level 2, 23%, level 3, 40%. But honestly, don't build them, alright? They have a minimal effect and only in the province where you build it, and you can see it is expensive, man. Don't build them, you don't need them, especially not on small maps like this. You only need propaganda offices on big maps where you're actually gonna move your capital out of your core provinces to another continent, because the further you go away from your capital, the more revolts you're gonna have, and it's gonna become untenable if you don't move your capital. You only need propaganda offices when you move your capital outside your core provinces. Without the capital, your province morale in your core provinces will start dropping, and only in that case should you build propaganda offices. And honestly, I rarely move my capital out of my core provinces because it's a drag. If you're active enough and you take a capital once in a while, you shouldn't have any problems with province morale far away from your capital anyways. Let's build an airstrip over here now. Airstrips are also crazy expensive. This new update really is trash, man. How you gonna build an airstrip with food? I guess for your workers? I don't know. And oil. Yeah, of course, because you're gonna use the oil to make the tarmac. Stupid, man. Anyways, moving in the queue, I guess.
Approximately 10 hours later.
Right, have a look in province administration. I have now everywhere recruitment stations. I still have 8,600 manpower. And the problem is I have little little resources, so I can not produce a lot of units. I've got just a second tank destroyer that rolled out of production. I'm producing a third. They cost 1620 steel. I produce 769, so I need about 2 hours and a half worth of steel to produce one tank destroyer. So I could build a second tank plant over here in Iasi, because then I can produce 2 tank destroyers at the same time. However, a tank plant costs 2100 steel and 1500 oil, meaning I can build in 5 minutes, but I'm not gonna be able to produce units. You need oil for almost anything in this game. At least any unit that is good costs oil, especially the oil prices for air are crazy. Also the airstrips are expensive, and in secret also oil. For all units you need oil, and you have countries where you lack oil, so that's a big problem. You also have countries where you lack food. That's a big problem if you're allies. This economy is just trash, man, honestly, and the gameplay is so slow. I can barely produce 2 different units at the same time. Honestly, this is bullshit. This whole new economical system is just designed to frustrate players into using gold, into buying more war bonds, booster cards. The gameplay is so slow, and I'm lucky. I have expanded a lot in less than 2 days, so I'm struggling less than the regular Call of War player, right? I would like to build a naval base in the Dubrovnik research subs. I would like to build an ordnance foundry in Sofia to make some anti-air, but it's impossible. I don't have the resources at all. Building industry in this game is very important. I would say that this is the most important thing in Call of War right now. You should pick a country that produces a lot of oil, and early on in the game just go crazy on building industry in your rural provinces, because they don't cost steel. So at the start of the game you will struggle with oil. A little bit later in the game you're gonna struggle with oil, so you need to anticipate this. Caucasus has used plenty of cards already. I've got Italy over here with 9 light tanks. He's got a 10 light tank over here in Tirana. I mean, if I want to make progress in this game, I'm forced to use unit cards as well, man. It is really not cool. Second tank destroyer out of production, third in research. It's gonna take too long to set up an efficient defense against the might of Axis, and as I can't produce a lot of units due to my economy, I'm just thinking about using cards, man. I've got a lot of unit cards. Got 5 light tanks, 7 medium tanks, 1 tank destroyer. Got also 2 heavy tanks, 2 anti-tank. That's also interesting. I don't like this system. You're obligated to join operations, and sometimes they're really at an inconvenient time. How does this even work? Bucharest, I got it. 1 in my capital, yeah. 1 in Iasi because it's empty. No, 1 in Bucharest maybe. Start. Yeah, so I was saying that you need to play a lot of operations in order to have a nice portfolio of units so that you can use them in your games, and so you're obligated to play games when these operations are active, right? Problem is that when the flame tank was introduced, for example, it was during the Christmas period, man. University students have exams, a lot of people, they have family to visit, they're traveling. I mean, so stupid. Not everybody has equal access to operations, and it just incites players to join a lot of maps and then abandon them as soon as they have enough points. It's trash, the unit card system. I really don't like it, and this new economy is even worse. Also the war bonds, I don't like it, man. Sorry Call of War for me to trash your game, and it means a lot if one of the main YouTubers of Call of War is so negative about the game. How long does it need to mobilize? Oh damn, 6 hours? 28? Seriously? 3 hours for this one? Damn, okay, that's a long time. Let me also spawn the medium tanks. 7 hours 15, but at least it takes a lot of time to spawn them, so that's at least fair.
A few moments later.
There we go. That will be largely sufficient against any player, actually. Just spawn 10 units, 1 tank destroyer, 2 anti-tank and 7 medium tanks. When BM is spawning units, that's sad, but this new update is just designed to use your booster cards to watch the ads, of course, because otherwise you cannot build. It's trash, man, honestly. Naval subs, start. I still lack resources. Come on, man. Done. 2 hours 29 for research. All right. I also wanted to research anti-air in the ordnance tab. Anti-air. Wow, look at that, it's expensive. Man, you cannot make progress in this game if you're not using cards. This is crazy, man. Before this new update, you could play Call of War perfectly without any gold, war bonds, unit cards or boosters. Now it's virtually impossible. You should definitely install Call of War on your mobile so that you can watch the ads every day, play operations to save up unit cards, because boy, you're gonna need them, man. I should also build over here now the Ordnance Foundry. First, I am going to boost the morale a little bit. That's enough. Done. Build the Ordnance Foundry. 2,400 oil, man. Prices are so expensive. I mean, I've got a great economy, but that's like 4 hours worth of resources, man. Build. Use one booster card. Done. Bucharest. Construction. Industry. Build. This is sad, man. Alright. Got my industry in production. So yeah, if you have booster cards, use them at day 1, because early game use of this type of premium currency gives you the biggest advantage in the long run. In the early game, you want to establish a good economy as fast as possible. I should also increase the morale of these provinces. Does it still risk to revolt? 32%, that's good. Over here as well, plus 10. Let's go, good. And the capital as well. Increase it with 10%. Boost morale, thank you. That's great. I think I've got everything covered.
3 days later.
We are now 1 hour into day 5. I've finally got my economy up and running. I produce now 647 food, 432 manpower, 861 steel, and 817 oil. In my rural oil province, I've got also local industry level 3 building, and in my rural steel, my local industry is also level 3. I am also now finally able to produce out of 3 cities. In both my level 2 tank plants, I'm producing a medium tank, and I'm also producing an interceptor. In Bucharest, my capital, which is oil, I'm upgrading my industry to level 3. In Budapest, which is also oil, I'm building level 1 industry. In my steel city, EAC, I've got level 2 industry. All recruitment stations still level 1. I'm happy I've built them because this has enabled me to upgrade all my infantry units. I'm gonna select all my units. I've got now 18 level 4 infantry. I've upgraded them straight from level 1 to level 4 using the upgrade trick. Just before level 3 research ended, I've upgraded them to level 2, so I've paid only the level 2 upgrade. When level 3 research ended, I've war bonded the level 4 research, and when the level 2 upgrade was completed, my units were not level 2 but level 4. Very cheap, very effective. If you want more details, you can check the magic upgrade trick video. 6 interceptors, 3 naval bombers, 5 anti-tank, 3 subs, 10 armored cars, 7 medium tanks with 2 in production. In the queue, that's gonna be 10 soon. 10 tank destroyers, 8 anti-air, that's sufficient to protect an artillery stack, and 10 rocket artillery. And most efficient is, as soon as you have 10 or 15 or 20 units, as you please, is to upgrade them, because your units are gonna take a longer and longer time to get to the front line. This armored car, for example, needs another 10 hours to get to the front, so at a given point, it's just better to upgrade your units so that you get your increase of both HP and extra damage output. My infantry, for example, has now 30 hit points. They deal 95 damage, which is a great difference compared to level 1 infantry. So you're gonna get that HP and damage boost straight at the front line. And it's very efficient to produce 10, 15, 20 units first before upgrading, because like this, you're not obligated to invest resources in upgrading your aircraft factory, your tank plants, for example, because with each level that you increase, you also need to increase the level of your production facilities. Otherwise, production time of units will double. This is just a very efficient way to play. First you spam units, then you upgrade them. It's very cheap because you upgrade from level 1 to level 3 or 4, and then you don't produce them again. So you don't have to invest in high level production buildings neither. A very efficient gameplay. Okay, so he attacked. Let's switch on fire at will and continue to march. Over here, I think now the half an hour has passed as well. Attack. Done, that unit is deleted, and then we can continue our march to the next destination. Put back offensive fire settings. The scout unit, we're gonna put it over here. Splitting up your armored cars in front of your artillery stacks permits you to take the province center faster so that your artillery can move faster as well. Did the same over here. I'm sending my armored car ahead of my medium tanks, as armored cars are the fastest because your stack marches at the speed of the slowest unit, which is for medium tank 38 speed, but my armored car moves at 55 speed. So splitting up is very interesting. If you want to learn more tricks how about to play more efficiently, I've got a playlist with plenty of different guides. I also have the Allies Beginners Tutorial series, the Axis Beginners Tutorial series. You should definitely watch them. So at this point, you just need to find a balance between producing and upgrading your units and investing in economy. Because if you invest too much in economy, you're not gonna have enough units to protect yourself when you get attacked. But when you invest too much in your war machine, then you're gonna have too many units, too much upkeep to pay, and you're gonna get in trouble very fast with your economy because you're not gonna have enough resources to produce more units. So you need to find this balance between warfare and economy. During this guide, I've also said that you need to watch the videos of the advertisements on the mobile app so that you can get access to more booster cards. You should also complete operations to get unit cards and booster cards, and don't hesitate to use them early on. You need to invest in your early game economy as soon as possible so that you can harvest the fruits later in the game. You're gonna struggle the most with oil, so you need to pick a country that has a good oil production. If you want to play Axis or Comintern strategies, you're gonna need a lot of steel and oil, so pick a country with 2 steel, 2 oil. If you're allies, you want to go heavy on the air force, you're gonna need a country with 2 food cities, 2 oil cities, 1 steel city. And day 1 you're gonna lack steel, and from day 3 or 4 onwards you're gonna lack oil. So invest in these resources first. Building and upgrading industry is the most important thing. Prioritize the construction of industry in the rural provinces because here the industry doesn't cost steel. It's gonna help you with your day 1 steel consumption. Secondly, don't forget to invest in recruitment stations. You're gonna thank me later for that. Once you start upgrading units and your economy is kicking in, you're gonna need more manpower. Don't forget to adapt your build to your economy. If you produce a lot of food, for example, you should go for the infantry, ordnance and air branch, rocket artillery. But if you produce a lot of steel and oil, then you should go for the mechanized infantry, for the tank branch, SP rocket artillery, railroad guns, rockets, for example. Adapt your strategy to your economy. Don't force your economy upon your strategy because you will fail. Play aggressively and attack early to conquer resources to establish your economy. And lastly, know the other doctrines. Germany is Axis, Poland is Comintern, France is Allies, Libya is Pan-Asian. Each of these doctrines get unique doctrine advantages, unique doctrine unit bonuses. So if you know the doctrines, you're gonna be able to predict which build your enemy is going to use, and you can adapt yourself. Adapt yourself, play proactive, because if you play reactive and you only react on what your enemy does, you will lose in this game. Take the initiative, predict what your enemy is going to do, and you will be successful. My name is BM_Fox. It was an honor to make Call of War guys for you in these past 3 years, but unfortunately with all these stupid updates and balancing changes, I'm going to quit Call of War. I thank you for your continuous support and I wish you a lot of gameplay fun. BM out. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and hit that bell button for notifications. And I want to say a warm thank you to my members and elite members for supporting this channel.